You've never seen them. You've never heard them. But every step you've ever taken was balanced on something ancient, something moving. Beneath oceans, beneath mountains, the earth hides a skeleton. Not of bone, but of fire, stone, and silence. And tonight, we'll follow it. Before move DV into deeply, like the video and subscribe the channel for more interesting videos. Long before the world had names, before forests grew or skies turned blue, the earth was nothing more than a silent storm of fire, a restless sphere of molten breath suspended in the vast darkness of space, spinning slowly beneath stars not yet born. It had no continents, no oceans, no solid ground to carry the weight of mountains or dreams. Its surface boiled with ancient heat, a churning sea of liquid rock that rose and fell like tides without a moon, folding in on itself over and over again in a rhythm older than memory. There was no direction, no stillness, no up or down, only the constant movement of a planet trying to find its own shape. For millions of years, Earth burned from the inside out, glowing like a wounded star, surrounded by poisonous gases and thunderous clouds that roared in silence. But all fires dim, even the ones that come from within. Slowly, over time measured not in days or centuries but in eons, the heat began to ease. The outermost layers, exposed to the cold breath of the cosmos, began to cool. And with that cooling came something miraculous, the thinnest skin, brittle and cracked, like ice forming on the surface of a lake. It did not form all at once, and it did not stay whole. It broke. It floated. It danced upon the molten sea beneath it like scattered puzzle pieces drifting in a dream. These were the first tectonic plates, vast slabs of crust that did not know yet that they were building a skeleton, that they would one day carry forests and rivers, cities and memories. They moved slowly, silently, unaware of their purpose. Yet this floating skin became the Earth's bones, invisible, immense, and impossibly strong. They formed not from design, but from cooling chaos, not from force, but from the quiet patience of time. And though they lay hidden now beneath mountains and oceans, they are still there, shifting, groaning, holding everything above them. The earth had no bones once. Only heat. Only motion. Only a desire, perhaps, to become something that could last, but cooling alone was not enough to make the earth whole, not for a planet so restless, so full of unspoken movement. Beneath its delicate crust, beneath that thin and fractured shell of hardened stone, the earth's heart still churned with the memory of fire. The mantle, vast and molten and slow, stirred like thought made liquid, not with chaos now, but with rhythm. Great currents of heated rock rose and fell within it, looping in slow spirals like a dream breathing from the inside out. And over ages long beyond our counting, this hidden motion began to press upward against the brittle crust. It didn't shatter it, not in the way of sudden violence, but gently, with patience only the earth could afford. The crust cracked open along deep seams, long invisible fractures that marked the earliest outlines of the planet's secret anatomy. Then, like ancient ice floes drifting on a dark sea, vast plates of crust began to move, enormous slabs of cooled earth, floating not on water, but on the warm, shifting tides of stone below. These were the first tectonic plates, and their motion was not planned, not commanded by any force beyond the quiet pressure of the world's own inner workings. They began to drift apart in some places, leaving behind deep wounds in the planet's surface where magma rose and cooled to form new crust. In other places, the plates met edge to edge, not with screaming collision, but with a long, slow press that folded stone into stone, creating the earliest outlines of what would one day become mountains. Still elsewhere, they slid past one another like strangers in a dark hallway, their friction carving invisible scars deep beneath the surface. No eye could witness this motion, no sound marked its beginning, but slowly, the bones of the earth began to shift. Each movement was a quiet solution, a subtle correction, pressure here, release there, creation, destruction, renewal, all happening beneath the surface in complete silence. The planet was solving its own balance without a blueprint, without an architect, only with flow, with patience, with time. The plates moved just inches each year, too slow for any one life to notice, yet fast enough that across millions of years, entire oceans opened and closed, entire continents wandered the globe like ships lost at sea. And this wandering was not random. It was the Earth breathing, adjusting, learning how to carry weight, how to share tension, how to survive its own heat. Without realizing it, the planet had invented a system, a dynamic structure that could build mountains and erase them, split land masses and stitch them back together. It didn't need instructions. It only needed to move. And in that movement, the Earth began to shape its own future, quietly laying down the framework of everything to come, not through noise or command, but through motion, rhythm, and the soft endurance of stone that knows how to float on fire. When two of Earth's immense tectonic plates drift toward each other, across oceans, across eras, across the planet's slow and endless dreaming, there is no sudden clash, no cracking thunder to announce their meeting. Instead, they press. Quietly. Patiently. With the kind of weight only a planet can hold and the kind of patience only stone can understand. This is not violence. It is a kind of remembering, the Earth folding itself back into itself, one slow breath at a time. For thousands of years, nothing may seem to happen. The edges grind, hesitate, resist. And then, gradually, the crust begins to give. It bends, not breaks. It folds, not fails. And the pressure, ancient and invisible, starts to build not outward, but upward. From these deep and silent collisions, mountains are born, not in fire, but in stillness. They rise like thoughts held too long, like whispers made solid, like the planet reaching up not to fight gravity, but to meet it. The Himalayas, for all their towering majesty, were once the floor of a forgotten sea, layers of silt and silence laid down beneath the weight of water. And now they touched the edge of space, carried there grain by grain, lifted by the invisible work of drifting bones beneath our feet. No trumpet sounded when the first peaks rose. No eyes watched as ancient limestone began its slow ascent into the cold sky. And yet, without sound, without warning, the world changed. The birth of a mountain reshapes everything around it. Winds learn new paths, clouds form in its shadow, rivers find fresh directions. New ecosystems bloom in its arms, and weather patterns shift like dreams rearranged. But the mountain does not notice. It does not rush. It has no need to arrive, only to become. Even now, while we sleep, while we speak, while we forget, the mountains are still growing. A few millimeters at a time, they press onward and upward, pushed by the slow heartbeat of the Earth's interior. Some will erode before they ever reach their peak. Some will be swallowed by time before we give them names. But that doesn't matter. Their purpose is not completion. It is movement. Memory. The quiet proof that the Earth is not still. That beneath our cities and stories lies a deeper narrative, one told in stone, in weight, in endless, invisible motion. And so the mountains rise, not as monuments to power, but as lullabies of pressure, long, quiet songs written by the planet as it continues to shape itself, fold itself, and become something new. But not all of Earth's bones press together, not all of them build mountains in silence. In some places, they do something else entirely. They drift apart, ever so slightly, opening thin seams in the surface of the world like a quiet sigh drawn across stone. These are not fractures born in violence, but in relief, places where the pressure, too long held, finally finds release. Along these boundaries, deep beneath oceans and deserts, the crust pulls away from itself, stretching like skin around a heartbeat, and in the space that opens, something ancient begins to rise. Magma, liquid rock from the Earth's molten mantle, pushes gently upward, not in rage, but in rhythm, as if the planet is exhaling after holding its breath for too long. It is a slow, glowing breath, one that carries the heat of the Earth's earliest memories. And when that magma breaches the surface, it spills into the air as lava, not as chaos, but as proof that the fire inside never truly went out. Volcanoes are born from these slow leaks in the Earth's crust, and though they often appear as symbols of destruction, they are something more essential. They are the Earth's pressure valves, its safety vents, its way of maintaining balance between the weight above and the fury below. Without them, the tension deep inside would build endlessly, with nowhere to go. Lava, then, is not anger, it is memory. It is ancient heat returning to the surface, a glimpse into the Earth's unspoken history, a reminder that beneath every quiet plain and every calm forest lies a planet still alive, still glowing. These eruptions, though rare and sometimes feared, are not interruptions, they are continuations of a process that began long before we were here to witness it. In the hiss of steam and the slow crawl of molten rock, we hear the Earth whispering to itself, releasing what must be let go, shaping what must be reshaped. And even as fire pours from the ground, life often follows behind. Soils enriched by ash, ecosystems renewed by destruction, islands born from flame. The Earth does not breathe the way we do, with lungs and air, but with pressure and fire, with movement and molten grace. And these cracks, glowing and quiet, are how it remembers to breathe. Even the oceans, vast, deep, and seemingly eternal, are not still. Beneath their waves, far below the reach of sunlight or storm, the seafloor itself is alive, shifting and reshaping in silence. What seems like endless blue from above is, underneath, a restless tapestry of stone. The ocean floor is not a flat canvas, it stretches, bends, and folds like the surface of a sleeping creature, always in motion, always becoming. Along the mid-ocean ridges, great underwater mountain chains that span the planet like scars of creation, molten rock rises from the Earth's mantle, cools in the cold grip of seawater, and forms brand new crust, the newest skin of the world, still warm, still glowing beneath layers of salt and time. As it forms, it slowly pushes older crust outward, away from the ridge, like breath expanding a chest. And far from where it was born, at the edges of distant continents, that same ancient crust descends again into the deep, swallowed at subduction zones, where one plate slips beneath another, vanishing into the mantle that made it. It is a perfect cycle of renewal, silent and eternal, a dance of destruction and rebirth choreographed beneath miles of water. The bottom of the ocean is not empty, it is a living highway, paved with invisible currents of stone, shifting lanes, colliding borders, and newborn ridges. With every inch it moves, it reshapes the world above, it carves coastlines, adjusts the tilt of islands, pulls continents closer, or slowly drifts them apart. Even the tides, the beaches we walk on, and the places we call home are guided by the steady pulse of this deep tectonic rhythm. But it makes no sound. It offers no warning. It doesn't need to. Because this is the kind of music the Earth plays for itself, a slow, seismic lullaby that only the planet can hear. And if you ever find yourself floating alone in the middle of the sea, with no horizon in sight, close your eyes. Beneath you, far below the quiet blue, the Earth is breathing. Its bones are shifting. And the ocean, vast and blue and endless, is only the surface of a story still unfolding below, deep beneath the shifting plates, beneath the drifting continents and the whispering trenches of the ocean floor, even beneath the swirling mantle that carries heat like a forgotten language, there lies something older, heavier, and far more mysterious, the Earth's core, a place no light has touched and no drill will ever reach. At the very center of the planet spins a solid sphere of iron, impossibly dense, unimaginably hot, suspended in silence and wrapped in a sea of molten metal that moves like a slow storm around it. This heart of the Earth doesn't beat the way ours does, but it turns, steadily and endlessly, like a compass needle locked inside a dream. From that motion comes a magnetic field, invisible, gentle, yet powerful enough to stretch far into space, forming a protective cocoon around the planet. It is this field that shields us from solar winds and cosmic radiation, that guards our fragile atmosphere from being stripped away by the breath of the sun. Without it, the sky would vanish. The oceans would boil off. The Earth, once teeming with life, would become as barren as the moon. So while we speak of tectonic plates and crust and bones of stone, we must remember that the true skeleton of the Earth is more than just rock. It is magnetism. It is movement. It is gravity and heat and the quiet force that holds everything in place without being seen. Every step we take on the ground is held up not only by crust and plate, but by this deep, glowing engine at the heart of the world. It is the anchor for our gravity, the painter of auroras, the silent protector that has kept our atmosphere wrapped around us like a blanket through eons of time. And it never asks to be known. It doesn't roar or quake or blaze, that it simply turns, buried beneath everything, a soft-spoken guardian we will never touch, but to whom we owe everything. And now, as the day loosens its grip and the quiet begins to settle in your chest, remember that beneath the surface, beneath the soil and sea and the cities and songs, the earth is still moving, gently, endlessly, faithfully. The same bones that once rose from fire, that drifted through oceans and carried mountains skyward, have never stopped their silent wandering. They do not rush. They do not sleep. They shift with the softness of thought, with the rhythm of breath held for 1,000 years. While you walk and speak and love and wonder, the great plates below carry your weight like a parent lifting a sleeping child, never asking for notice, never needing to be seen. And when you sleep, they carry you still. You lie not upon stillness, but upon motion, slow, careful, ancient motion that keeps the planet alive and balanced. These bones are not rigid. They are not brittle. They are graceful, powerful, patient. They solve heat. They relieve pressure. They create space for oceans to breathe and volcanoes to whisper and mountains to stretch their spines toward the stars. In their movement is a kind of wisdom we rarely feel but always rely upon. The very idea of home exists because of this motion, because the land has been allowed to shift and change and heal. And though we build walls and maps and names upon it, the earth beneath remains free, moving in slow spirals of unseen grace. Even now, in the silence of your room, under the hush of your ceiling and the hush of your thoughts, the planet beneath you turns. The plates adjust. The core spins. The magnetic field sighs outward like a blanket of invisible light, protecting you from a universe too vast and wild to understand. And yet here you are, safe, warm, suspended in a perfect moment, held not by luck, but by a choreography written in stone and fire. This world does not need to speak to you aloud. It holds you anyway. It listens to your weight, to your warmth, to your stillness, and continues its sacred work without ever demanding your attention. So let yourself go now. Let the worries that ride on top of the world fall away. Sink through the layers, through memory, through time, through story, and feel, just for a moment, the deep kindness of a planet that has never stopped catching you. The earth is not asleep. It is dreaming. It is moving. And while you rest, it will carry you forward, just as it always has, quietly, faithfully, like a lullaby written in the bones of the world.